My son was murdered 20 years ago on February 12, 1993. Oshea Israel was 16 years old, and my son was 20 years old. I want you to know that, as I said on the film, I was full of hatred for this boy. He'd taken my only child away from me. My son Laramiun was shot 3 times in the chest and once in the head. And I see him as an animal. And he deserved to be locked up. I never wanted to see him step on a piece of earth that I would step on. My justice was lock him up forever. Throw away the key, never let him out, because he did not deserve to be out here walking on the same space that I would walk on. And I told Oshea, look, I don't know you. You don't know me. You didn't know my son. And my son did not know you. I said, we need to lay a foundation. We need to get to know one another so we can believe one another. And that's what we did for 2 hours. He told me how we got from Illinois to Minnesota and the things that he was involved in. He told me if I could have communicated that night that this would not have happened. So he had started a group in Stillwater Prison called Communications. I had told him about my son and all the things he had been into. And he said, ma'am, your son and I, we probably could have been friends. We've done a lot of similar things. I said, yes, you have. I told him about myself and the things that I was doing. Well, he admitted what he'd done, and I told him, I said, look, in court I told you that I forgave you. But today I want you to know from the bottom of my heart that I forgive you. I can't hold on to you any longer. It had been 12 years. At the end of the meeting, Oshea asked me if he could hug me. And I said, yes. And they tell me I was hysterical. I don't remember that part. But I remember him holding me and that I was falling. And he had to hold me up. And while he was holding me up, he whispered to me. And he said, ma'am, I believe you're going to be the person to help me to cry. Then he was released in 2009 in December. And in March 2010, we gave him a welcome home party. I wanted him to know that there were people here that cared about him. These people didn't know him. They only knew him through the story that I had been telling. And there was maybe about 3 or 4 there that knew him out of 35 people. And everyone went around this circle and told him how they can support him. And I believe, brother, that's something that's really needed when our sons and our brothers, when anybody come out of prison, they need that circle of people to gather around them and to be able to support them. And so each person told him what they could do for him, how they could help him. And at the end, maybe it was, I don't know if it was the end of the day or whatever, but my landlord asked me how I would feel about Oshea moving in the vacant apartment next door. And I said, Oshea doesn't want to move next door to me. He said, but Mary, you should really think about it. I said, okay. And so I thought about it. And what came to me was one day I was speaking at one of the prisons, and a young man said, well, what if Oshea moves back to the neighborhood? And I said, well, that'd be cool because I'll be able to keep a better eye on him. Be careful what you say. And so I had to call my landlord and say, yes, that's fine with me. And I really didn't think he was moving next door. But he called me shortly and said, well, you know, O'Shea's moving next door. And it has been fine ever since. I mean, Oshea Israel is my spiritual son. And as I said, I treat him like my son. Angel can attest to it. I am proud of him. He's not that 16-year-old boy that he was. I am so thankful that my heart is in a place to realize that and that I can work with the Campaign for Fair Sentencing of Youth.
If they do get the opportunity to get out early, they need to go into the school system. They need to go into the detention centers. They need to go into the communities. I don't mean just coming home and not giving back. I mean coming home and trying to talk some sense into these gangbangers who were them. Trying to be some positive examples now since they've been laid down for so many years, and a number of them have woken up. I was in the prison the other day out in Osborne, and a number of the men who this bill affects came up to me and said, you know what, since I've been incarcerated, I've got my master's degree. Since I've been incarcerated, I now work for the hospice program of the prison. Once they do get a chance to be laid down for so many years, they look at it as an opportunity to better themselves. So if they do have the opportunity to be released, they are coming out men of change. They are coming out men of redemption. They are coming out men who are focused, men who are on a mission, men who are definitely looking for the opportunity to give back. Now, my painful life of redemption for taking a life, and also speaking up for the bill for the young men who are incarcerated for committing the heinous crime when they was so impulsive, so reckless, so unthinking, so spontaneous, so, you know, and not just trying to justify any of it, because my heart goes out to the families who pain each and every day, who hurt from birthday to birthday, holiday to holiday. And that's one of the reasons when I spoke at the legislators' offices on behalf of the bill, I spoke from a point of giving back, owing, and carrying a legacy on for, unfortunately, the pain that we cause the families. That's why I do what I do now. I go around and I do speaking engagements. I go back into the prisons as a change agent, and I talk to the men on different capacities, whether their capacities of taking lives or selling drugs for whatever crime. You know, we do owe. As far as getting, you know, involved, you know, I go to a number of meetings, and it's like capacity, you know, and we don't want everybody to do everything. We just want everybody to do something.
And we've got to do something. We just can't sit around and talk about it. We got to come up with a plan, and we've got to do something.